All right, boys. It's episode 159, bullish Bitcoin Bantam bullshit. There's three of us here. So Neverlook isn't, but he is a fucking superhero, so I'm not going to slag him off. But
Go on.
159 episodes we've been here. Pretty much episode one, we were pretty much the all-time high of the last cycle. 158 episodes below pretty much where we started. Pretty much down only, a little bit up, most of fucking sideways. But here we are. We're past all-time high. We're not past a bit by a little bit. Not a little bit. 20, 30, 30%. I told you so. Told you. Here we are. We're
Oh,
fucking
you
proof
got
of
the
work.
t-shirt. I didn't even
We
notice that.
we got it. We got
Did
it.
you
We're
did you
fucking
order that this
bullish.
week?
Finally. Yeah, well, yeah, you posted it in the chat. I ordered it within 60 seconds of you posting it. I was like,
Oh, fuck me.
I'm
I
having
think
that
I
for
said to
Tuesday.
myself I wanted a certain figure for me to order it. You know how tight I am.
It's 15
So
quid, dude. Come on, like, a
oh,
little bit of Bitcoin merch.
15 quid. That could be like the price of a fucking boat. I will order it when a special price appears. So wait on this
Well,
because
what is it? It's what we're 69. Like we're back to 69, right? The previous all-time high was 69,000, but in dollars, we're now 69,000 in pounds, which is $89,000. We're 11K off the magic 100K dollars. And
I
laser
suppose
eyes
I
to
said I
100K. We
said
said it 4 years
100k, but
ago. We were
I
wearing
said
laser eyes for
100k.
4 years.
I said 100k would be the t-shirt.
Yeah, well, we'll
Oh,
probably be there within a week at this rate.
yeah. I'll have to get off my arse and order one. We'll be sitting here in "I told you so" t-shirts. I'll be wearing it. My wife will be like, "Doctor Evil, you wearing your "I told you" your shirt?" I'm like, I know. That's it. Eighth day straight. I know, because I told you so. And at Mr. Allin's wedding, he told you to read the Bitcoin Standard, and have you?
Man, wonder what the price of Bitcoin, probably about 25K then.
Back then. Yeah, 24, 25, 26 in that kind of window.
I was going to say that was a very expensive wedding then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If they do a
yeah,
cap
it
though,
was.
if they
You're
do a
very
cap, I'm
living in a
sure
very
there's a cap.
fucking expensive house as well.
Yeah,
I was speaking to, what do we call him? The ordering man, is it? I forgot what his nickname
Everyday
is.
man. What was it?
Everyday man. I was speaking to him, and he's just like, "Yeah, Mr. Olin." But his so we're talking about, would you sell off your Bitcoin to pay off your mortgage? And I'm like, it could be the worst trade which you ever make if you do that. I said that to him, and it's just, I'm like, because in 5 years' time, paying off that mortgage could be millions. Whereas if I just leave it, it's cheap debt. As a way which I look at it. And he went, about you getting your house, which was obviously on a Bitcoin standard. I said, yeah, his house has probably cost him millions already.
Yeah, it already has. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Multiple millions of lost earnings. The problem is when you go to a Bitcoin standard, right? I can't get a 5 grand loan from the bank. I have
Yeah.
no fiat presence. Or at least at the time, I do have fiat income at the moment. It's relatively standard, but I'm about to get rid of that anyway because it's annoying and it's a bull market. And why the hell would I be fucking doing a slave wage job? It's fucking pointless. Um, but once you move to a Bitcoin standard, the option of a mortgage, and I've never had a mortgage either, so it's not like I'm carrying one on from
That
a
is
previous fiat job.
absolutely madness. So,
I
for
always
many
did. I always
listeners,
rented.
I think when we started this, you were in your one bedroom flat, weren't you?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that
one bed
was,
flat. It wasn't much bigger than the office that I'm in now in my new house. Yeah.
and the madness is that you kind of are living that, you were living the Bitcoiner life, which everyone jokes about.
Yeah.
Like with socks with holes in, falling apart shoes,
Yeah.
one bedroom flat, and that was you.
Yeah.
Fish on the counter just smash
Yeah.
buying Bitcoin.
Yeah, and that's fundamentally where I sacrifice. So that means, I managed to build up a stack because I wasn't spending money on mortgages, loads of kitting out houses, weddings and babies and all that stuff. I put all that stuff off to build up my stack, and then I knew I had to eat into it to then kind of catch up to
For
then,
certain purposes, I think,
oh
with
yeah.
certain
But
life
and
events.
I know where the trade was, and I know that like it was. I could always just keep waiting, right? Maybe I should just rent. Literally talking to
But
the missus the other
but
day,
when
and
you're
we
going
did
into
look at renting. I was going
But
to
when
get
you're going into family life, you know,
yeah,
like
I was going to rent a freaking mansion for like, 10K a month. The only reason I didn't is because I couldn't find one. They were
Yeah.
all just a bit shit. And we couldn't find like literally I wanted to pay the big bucks to go, look, it is worth paying 100 grand a year to not buy a house. If I can leave this money, and it felt like it was insane at the time. But if I'd have managed to do that, that trade would have made me millions. Because in the end, I couldn't find the house for 10K a month that I thought was worth it and that kind of ticked all our boxes. We then at the same time stumbled across the house that was kind of the house of our dreams. So I lumped into the house instead. And that fundamentally, obviously I've been here for 3 years now, so it wasn't straight away a bad trade, but I knew given another long enough time period, this is going to be an absolute fortune of money that would lost. But the problem is I could be renting now, still. I'm not selling now, am I either?
No.
If I was to now, 3 years later, after having this house, now take the money and go, oh, I'll take some off the top. Still, that money that I take now is going to end up costing me tens of millions in the future. If I wait another 5, 10 years, the likelihood is it's still going to be a bad trade. So at some point, right, the ticking time bomb in all of us is Father Time, and our body is going to rot in the ground eventually. And I freaking need to. I wanted to sit it out. I want to have my own place. I want to have my own land. I want to just smash it up as I want. I don't want anyone telling me what I can and can't do. I want my kids running around and having a good time. So for the millions that I've already lost by buying the house, it's like, it sounds cheesy, but you get the wealth of life instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is like for the listeners, it's kind of like the moral is in, the low time preference versus a high time preference. So the high time preference is to reward yourself immediately. But I think, as you've quite rightly said, there has to be some kind of life trade. But buying a Lamborghini isn't a life trade. That's just rewarding yourself immediately. Whereas if you hold on, you could buy 10 Lamborghinis.
There are some things you can't equate into a dollar or a pound.
Yeah, exactly. The family life, I think
Ultimately,
everyone needs to appreciate that is central to every person's existence.
Yeah, and obviously, all you need is a bit of a health scare in your family, and obviously, I've had a few in my close family members, and you just realize, look, it could be you that has that diagnosis at some point. So, whilst it would be, I'd still, even if it was to happen, I hadn't ever spent anything, and I'd be like, well, it's great I'm passing on what a legacy, but there would be a big part of me that went, did I live?
Yeah.
If I was still in that one bed apartment, or even just renting something small, I'm like, yeah, my stack is bigger than it could have ever been, but I need to freaking have some experiences and live my life as well. It can't just be after I'm gone.
Yeah, I think,
and you're in a position anyway where I think it'd just be even more. I feel like
you
don't need infinity money.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you do have a relatively modest lifestyle, and it's very, very, very comfortable to live on a Bitcoin standard, and if you're always trying to go to Monaco and try and have the biggest boat and stuff, then yeah, you probably would stress about leaving a couple of million on the table here or there. But I know I've got enough. I'm set.
Yeah, exactly. It's the richness of life.
And Bitcoin's just going to continue. Like I can't almost if you literally have a bit of a steady way of spending your money, and obviously the big house, I knew that was going to take a big chunk of the stack, but I'm like, that's it, right? Everything else from then it's going to be, obviously there's going to be some cars, there's going to be some maintenance. There was a marriage that I knew was going to be in there. Obviously the kids are in there, all these incremental things, but there's nothing as big as the house ever going to probably happen again. So it's all just going to be incremental. And I can almost guarantee at the speed I'm going to spend it, because I'm not going to purposely spend, the equivalent of hundreds of thousands or millions of pounds ever again, then Bitcoin's going to outpace me. I can't spend it as fast as Bitcoin's going up. So my net worth will just continue to get bigger as I chunk down on the stack. So, and obviously, we'll talk about it, but Bitcoin's going to freaking infinity. So
I can't wait till
it's kind of nuts to think, but you could literally have probably 0.1 of a Bitcoin and you might be able to buy half of Spain. So, I don't think we can quite comprehend that. at this
I don't
point.
think anyone will comprehend it. That is, like I don't think people appreciate how much money is in the financial system at the moment, and I'm
Yeah.
putting money in quotation marks.
We could,
But
we were talking about before it came on, weren't we?
yeah,
Yeah, there are 100 million millionaires, 21 million Bitcoin. There's probably only about 5 to 10 million Bitcoin that's even available to buy, right? Because 20 million have already been printed. So there's only 1 million coming out of the network. And there's probably at least 10, maybe 15 million that are held by people like us. We
yeah,
ain't fucking selling. There's at no price. So those people come in if just 10% or 20% of that 100 million people, 20 million people just come in going, I want to have a whole coin. I have 100 million plus. I want a Bitcoin. They'll start bidding, and very quickly the price gets into the millions because there's not enough coins for them. And
not
that's
not,
just
and they'll have that.
10%.
They'll have that mentality that I have to have a coin.
Yeah.
Like that will be the mentality, and then the mentality will be I have to have half a coin, like that'll be like, and then it will be I have to have 0.25, and then because people work in those round numbers, and it's when it's like we were saying before we started recording, it's when people start thinking about it not in Bitcoin but in Satoshis, that's when the mentality
Oh
changes.
yeah, this is what it's coming to. Like it's now getting out of reach. What's the price right now in pounds?
Just under 70.
70 grand is out of reach for a Bitcoin for any new people come to the cycle.
Yeah.
Unless you're
like
a millionaire, right?
Yeah, so it's literally kind of like what's a viable amount of satoshis is the question now.
0.1. Start with 0.1 of a coin and go from there.
Yeah, it probably actually is, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's about 7 grand.
7
Yeah.
grand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could stack to that in a couple of years, couldn't you?
So
Yeah.
what's that? That's
But not that Bitcoin's going to let you.
No.
If
So
it
it's-
stayed at the same price, you might
I
be.
mean
able to
that's
stack to
10 million satoshis, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the target is 10 million satoshis to put that in context.
Yeah.
Yeah, because 100 million satoshis in a Bitcoin. Yeah,
It's exciting times, isn't it?
Mine, it's nuts. Obviously, like I think was it last time Trump hadn't won, had he, last year? Had he? He hadn't won, had he? It was just before he literally won, like the next day, and like
I'm
we
just trying to
knew.
remember. Yeah, it's a week, isn't it? Because we
Yeah.
did that one,
No,
and
we knew if Trump won, we
barely
were
anyone
getting
viewed
pumped.
it.
What's that?
Barely anyone viewed that video.
Nah, to be honest, I think probably leading with the election, it's freaking how many
Noise.
videos do you want on the election? It was just blends in, doesn't it? But overall, I think the takeaway from that really was all we pretty much went is if Trump wins, bull market, here we go. Freaking, it's going to be 60K by next week. I think I said Kamala, it's probably the opposite. We're probably going to dump 20% if she gets in. Man, I was wrong in the fact that we hit 60K on Friday and then we hit 70K by the time we hit the pod.
Yeah.
We went up an additional 10K over and above what I thought. I thought we'd have a 10K bump on the Trump news. We had a 20K bump, and this is in pounds. 30K bump in dollars. People are getting very excited, and obviously, we've got a load of stories on there. But it looks like, for the first time, nations seem to be competing, buying the Bitcoin. They seem to be trying to, especially now that America seem to be indicating that not only are they going to hodl the Bitcoin that they have stolen, they may actually start their own treasury. And
this is getting into the stories, isn't it?
Yeah. And we knew, obviously, once you get into that world of having once one big nation signals that, all the little ones, they panic and go, well, we can't wait. It's FOMO. It's literally, but it's not retail FOMO.
Where do we start? Do we start on the
FOMO.
first story, or do we move to this one?
Yeah, go on. Let's just move to. We'll come back to it. It's a funny one, maybe to finish it with or something. But
yeah,
was it Cynthia Loomis? So she's a Republican.
Senator.
Yeah, a senator.
She's a well-known Bitcoiner as well.
Yeah, linked to Trump.
So this is what you were just saying, is like America is saying they're doing it. So it's like, oh shit, who else is going to do it? Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, France, Germany, UK. are all going to follow suit. It may not be straight away if America do this,
Mm-mm.
but it's going to be within 1 to 2 years. And it's massive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because this is, we talked about what is the bottom. And last time we were wondering, is the bottom 30 grand? Oh no, it's actually 13 grand in terms of pounds, wasn't it? That was the bottom. But still, the bottom last time before that was 3K.
Yeah.
So you're kind of going, it 4x, didn't it up? And so it's like, after this 13K, what's the bottom? And the bottom's going to be, well, what are the hodlers? If you're going to end up with nation states hodling, that's going to be your bottom, isn't it? Because they're not just going to sell like anything.
They're not trading.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
They're not sitting there every day trading. Well, maybe they are actually. Maybe they are. Maybe they have some mechanism set up to buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, and average it out. But generally speaking, that bottom becomes a lot higher. We were talking about it before. We said, well, it's not going to be less than 100K, is it?
Yeah, like, I've got my predictions for what I'm seeing when I've looked at my really bad patterns. But
Mr. All LinkedIn.
Yeah, if nation states start doing it, though, it could be literally bloody anything, couldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Go on.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's almost scary when you call something right in the world, because it doesn't happen very often. So then you're sitting there going, oh God, this is actually playing out how we talked about it playing out. Instead of how we hoped it played out. It's happening. And we always said we thought we might see a Venezuela or a Nigeria or a country like that be one of the bigger names after El Salvador to really start adopting it. But if the US go any way, shape, or form start doing it, it is a house of cards to just go. And
this is it. Like,
China already been doing it,
The predictions of 250K, 400K, they all fall over. Like, if the US do this and people start to copy and pay notice.
Yeah. There's big rumors that all over Bitcoin Twitter right now that a nation state is already accumulating a lot of Bitcoin that is taking.
It's not Germany, is it, boys?
Oh, that's my favorite episode of recent times.
Already cost themselves $1 billion, haven't
they? Yeah, that's absolute. Like, we talked about that episode at the time. We said, if ever you want to demonstrate how much a government doesn't understand finances, that is it literally playing out in front of us. That is a government saying, I don't understand money. I'm going to make a really shit trade.
Here you go. So if it gets treated as gold, so we've always known about the gold standard 1972 and before. So gold, what's the current market cap?
50 trillion or something.
17 trillion.
17.
What is the current market cap of Bitcoin?
It's just past silver, hasn't it?
Just below that. Oh no, it's about 2, isn't it? 2.
Yeah, I think it was
1.72.
Yeah.
So you have got getting really excited about this. If we start going towards reserve currencies and strategic reserves, you're looking at, could it be a 10x?
Yeah. I was sharing with Mrs. No Show my article from LinkedIn, and I used exactly that. And basically, I 5 years ago put it on LinkedIn, and when next year, I wrote in 2020, I said in 5 years we'll be at the market cap of gold, which basically works out about 240K a coin. And I said it would take a couple of years to get to 50K. I was correct. It'd take a couple of years from 5K to 50. So I gave everyone the 10x, and then I said by next year we'll complete the 50x. So we've got some going, but we're only just at the very beginning of the bull market now. Look at all the charts. It's October, November is when it gets started. The top of this cycle should be about this time next year.
Yeah.
So it's easy.
What was it last time? Was it about 4? Was it 4x?
It went from 3K was the bottom of the start of the cycle.
Oh, right. Oh, from the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah. So
no, I meant what was the X from the start of the bull market? So it went from
it was like,
from 20.
It was about 11, 12, wasn't it, from the start of that cycle? But in theory, I always look from the low. So
Yeah.
that'll be the 13K this time to what's the high going to be.
Yeah.
So that's, maybe it's the wrong way to look at it, but I look 3K to, what was it? Was it 50K within pounds?
There's a lot of fuckery. I think that the last cycle was a lot of fuckery at the top. You know, FTX exploded.
Yeah,
And
that capped it. That was like somebody just put a cap on it.
Yeah.
It would
And we
have
didn't
carried
really
on
have a
going up.
good launch either. It was just we all just it all just fell into it, and there's a lot of like market dynamics kind of happening. But obviously, the one before we had COVID, that was perfect, right? That's all was built to freaking go rocketing up. But then the next time it kind of happened, we didn't go that much further past where we'd gone before, and that's why a lot of people got a little bit disappointed. We were meant to hit 100K then. But there was the market dynamics with FTX kind of fucked us. It took all the edge off it. Retail got scared, businesses got scared, nation states got scared, and a lot of people just ran off and went, "I'm going to let this cool down, just see what else fails other than FTX," thinking that that was Bitcoin failing, and it obviously wasn't. So now it took 4 years for everyone to come back and go, "Oh, FTX didn't mean anything, did it?" It's like, no, we fucking told you at the time it meant nothing. It's like, and why is the US election? Why is like almost the third or fourth most talked about point Bitcoin? Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's the thing that just all rocket ship, just all just leading towards it. We've got the ETF, got nation states, shit coins are dead. Everybody knows they're just memes now. Everybody is fucked off with inflation. You know, it's never been worse. Taxes pretty much around the world are just going up. Everybody's looking for a safe haven for their money. And it used to be so much money used to come towards Bitcoin and get diverted into shitcoin because they were pretending to be blue chip kind of different alternative options to Bitcoin. They're not anymore. They don't even pretend to be. They're just memes. And for the most people, they're not degens. They don't want to put their life savings into degen coins, hoping that they spin the roulette table and the ball lands on their number. They might put a little bit of play money in it, but it's too hard and it is really complicated to actually even buy some of these shit coins because they're not on most of the main exchanges. They're all freaking hidden and it's just a noise. So I think the majority, it's all set up where the entire fiat world, nearly every opportunity is all just awful, and people want to put their money somewhere, and it's Bitcoin, and that goes for the individual, for a country, for companies, for degens. It's that, and so we are like, it could not be a better takeoff, and I think it was all just there, and also we'd stabilized at 50K for about a year. What a fucking base! And then what is the accelerant? Where's the lighter fuel to really send us off? Freaking Trump winning
No,
and just
I
being
disagree.
and letting Ross out and freaking being bullish on Bitcoin. It's like there's the accelerant. Boof.
No, I think you've got it mixed up. The accelerant is when Peanut was shot.
That helped Trump win. Yeah. Genuinely probably did.
I just quickly read your article. I was just like on LinkedIn. That's great. That's a great one to come back to. I've just shared it as well. So it's yeah, great one for you to make a price prediction about. But it's going to be a bit of crazy times because last time it was crazy times. We had El Salvador. We had who is it? Tesla.
Yeah.
We had MicroStrategy. We even had Central African Republic. We had, what do they call, automated or something like that, ports. I can't remember what they're called, but it was basically Madeira and Ponta something within South America. So we've had all these bits which have adopted Bitcoin as a currency. Obviously, Central African Republic jibbed it off quite quickly. But El Salvador played the long game, and El Salvador have come out smelling of roses out of this.
Well, I think in reality, that's why this bull run is set up so well, right? Because MicroStrategy set the standard for businesses, but it takes them 4 years to catch up, right? So hardly any other businesses followed them. Now they will be. Same with El Salvador. They set the pace, but all these countries and all the businesses, when I'm not going to follow MicroStrategy 1 month after they've done it, all these FDs and all these treasury people in government went, well, let's just watch them for a couple of years. Do they get hit by regulatory concern? Do they get hacked? Does the price go to zero? All these things, all these risks. And then now, we're 4 years later, MicroStrategy is now one of the most valuable companies in the world. El Salvador has gone from being a crime hell to a tourist destination and with a booming economy. Now all these people have gone. It's probably a little bit too early to call it, but fuck me, every single sign looks super positive for companies and countries going onto a Bitcoin standard.
So here's the question: the biggest company in the world is currently Apple, and Apple is 3.39 trillion.
Yeah.
MicroStrategy seems a step away from that, 72.26 billion. So the big question is, most of that's Bitcoin, and they want to pretty much double their stack. Do we think within the next cycle, 4 years? So we come back to this in actually 5 years, because that's that's to the first full cycle. Do we think MicroStrategy is going to be bigger than Apple in 5 years' time?
Well, hold on. What? How much are they behind at the moment? It's only about a 5x, isn't it? If they don't buy a single more Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think. Oh, God. So what's that?
So I'd actually say by the end of next year, MicroStrategy will be the most valuable company in the world.
Next year, I'm going to go for 5 years, because I think it's still got too much catch up with.
What's a 5x? So
yeah, it's a 5x. Yeah, you're right.
What stops Apple buying Bitcoin?
Oh, that would probably be the only defensive play is if they just randomly acquire. Because I know Apple do have hundreds of billions of cash sat in their reserves.
Yeah.
But the problem is if Apple was to start buying Bitcoin, and it got out, they wouldn't actually be able to buy very much Bitcoin because the price would just shoot up.
Yeah, but they'd have to do it very quiet, wouldn't they?
But
they would have a window of time where they could do it quietly, because surely they would have to report it at some point.
Yeah, they'd have to buy an absolute shit ton inside 1 quarter, because then they'd have to announce it after that they've done it, and then the cat's out the bag.
Yeah, or they set up a research and development company off the books.
Yeah,
acquire it for $1. Even
though but I honestly, if the company valuations stay roughly the same and they don't move to a Bitcoin standard, then obviously we've got it's going through the board in Microsoft at the moment. So they might be the ones that could outdo MicroStrategy.
MicroStrategy are an outlier. They're still a very big company, but looking at it, we're actually wrong. It's not a 5x; it's a 50x.
What?
Yeah, so I think the next bull run is when
my prediction. 70, not 700.
Yeah.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So, but I do think that you're right. If Microsoft do actually do any of this, it's the same with the US. It brings a level of legitimacy, if I can't say the bloody word, to Bitcoin. It's not just, MicroStrategy, this bunch of internet wizards and some plebs in middle America have bought Bitcoin. It's like Microsoft have bought it, and the US have got a good store of it. That isn't just some poor as fuck country who have a load of gang members and some random company which has been failing since 2000. It just puts it in a whole different ballpark.
It will be interesting. We were talking about this before the pod as well, Mr. No Show, but I've got a feeling that MicroStrategy at some point, they have to pivot away from whatever bullshit kind of software they're selling now. But they need to become a Bitcoin.
What do they do? They've probably got employed 10,000 people. It's like, we're a Bitcoin company. So what are we going to do?
Like back in the day, they were buying like 25 million a month of Bitcoin out of their profits. So whatever enterprise analysis software, but they have to become a Bitcoin service bank, right? And there's so many services of making it easier to send and receive Bitcoin, and we're talking about it, just being paid in Bitcoin. That should just be a standard service, and most companies are not going to have someone that is au fait enough with Bitcoin to be able to be sitting in HR paying people in Bitcoin. They're going to need to have an interface.
And we were talking about this today, weren't we?
This
is no show.
And that's where MicroStrategy, surely I think their software already just pivot that into, and I'm not being funny, you got enough profits, dude. Just throw $1 billion at it and pop out in a couple of years with a full suite of middleman Bitcoin services that just sit between the Bitcoiner and all these companies doing a variety of things: loans, overdrafts, paying them, sending, receiving it, That is $1 trillion business right
Yeah.
there, and you get to be the custodian of all this Bitcoin, and you actually are doing and enabling Bitcoin, which is then just making your entire massive stack of Bitcoin more valuable at the same time as well. Like he
I
has to
think
pivot into that. Like, if
I
he's not
think
building that
there's a
now,
step
I'd be
further though.
dumbfounded.
I think there's a step further because you're talking about that one. I think there's also we've had where companies they have invested in miners, but I think we need to sort out the Lightning Network. So we have talked about this. It's a very good network, but it needs to expand. So I think someone's got to take a long-term view, put the investment in now, and look at the future returns on it. Being the equivalent of Visa, because we've got Lightning, but then there's issues of going between smaller payments. So you want something like Fedimint or something which improves on the Lightning network, and I think that's going to be another big play. One of these companies is going to go, fuck it, I'm going to take a hit for 4 years to create this network. And I think that's going to be a big thing which emerges. Maybe it's Block or someone like that who we see suddenly emerge in the space, or maybe it's our old friend Jack Mallers, who's, I would say he's quiet, but he's never quiet, is he?
Oh man, I've just seen the best tweet. I've got to share it just because. Bukaleli's just tweeted.
I told, yeah.
It's all it says.
Yeah, I gave him a like for that one when I saw it.
Yeah. Love
They
that.
can't- You know, in the bull market where this is like he runs a country
He runs a country.
and he's tweeting out, "I told you so," and we all know he's talking about Bitcoin. Like,
Yeah.
what world are we living in? When I
Yeah.
came into this, like we were just scammers, drug dealers, and fucking Nazis. That was what everybody thought of us. And we're like, this, and now we have someone that is running a country being like, I told you so, like posting Bitcoin memes. And because
Oh,
he's bought a load of Bitcoin and is now probably personally extremely rich himself, and he's made a load of money for his country.
Is Musk too proud to go public on Bitcoin again?
I must admit, like freaking hell, he's going to be annoying. I think you're right. I think he is too proud to admit that he didn't invent Bitcoin and didn't have a better position in Bitcoin because he's going to be a member. He's literally created a department of the government called Doge.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Department of Government Efficiency, which is a fantastic department. I completely agree with his mission. He's going to target cutting 2 trillion worth of spending out of the US government. Absolutely is exactly what they need to do. But to call it Doge, that doesn't set my expectations particularly high for what he's about to start tweeting out when it comes to freaking Dogecoin. Because I
And that
imagine there's some Doge memes coming, and he'll
and
probably
that goes
pump the
back
price
to
of Doge, won't he?
that goes back to the topic of, is the US going to buy a Bitcoin strategic reserve? There are people saying they are, but Elon Musk has heavily got the ear of Trump at the moment. Those two are inseparable. And is there some kind of weird parallel universe pivot where he's just too proud to accept that the answer is Bitcoin because he sold half of Tesla's position in it, and he tries to force it down another route that isn't
yeah,
the
but
answer?
Doge is a joke. He thinks it's funny, and I think it's
Yeah,
going
but
to
he
hit
thinks
that.
everything's funny. He thinks going to space is funny.
But I think he's going to hit that point where he kind of goes, it's not going to work in the real world. He thinks it's funny. It's a meme. He wants to name government departments after it because it's hilarious. But I do think at some point he's just going to go, you know what?
He came out. Do you know what worries me about that whole thing? He came out years ago and said, I will enable payments in Bitcoin when Bitcoin proves it's over 50% renewable, blah, blah, blah. And nothing.
No, he
Right?
never did he?
Never did. Reneged on that word. Hasn't mentioned it really since. And I don't know. I'm not saying it's a threat. I'm not saying it's going to mean it's not going to happen. But when you've got someone that influential almost being childish about it because they're petulant and they don't accept that they maybe made a bad call or they didn't. I can't believe he didn't do the research. He's literally the smartest man on the planet. Like, surely he knew that the energy feeding into Bitcoin was highly renewable
Yeah.
anyway, or
I
green.
think a lot of that was the shareholders. Yeah, I think he needed to publicly almost denounce Bitcoin a little bit, and because the Tesla share price was suffering, and then since he's done that and just gone quiet on it, Tesla's back to all-time highs and rocketing up again. And I think in reality, I listened to a good podcast actually with a couple of people that are mates of Elon, and he has the ability to spread himself extremely thin, but set himself razor sharp objectives that will get him an overall goal. And once he decided to come public with Trump, because he realized that was what America needed, it's what was going to help his companies be successful, and he wanted his companies to be successful to ultimately forward the human race. He even narrowed down into the election. He sat close to Trump. He sat close to a number of people and went, where's the swing states? Essentially, it was Pennsylvania. And if they win Pennsylvania, then by and large, that would swing the tide and Trump would take the election. Elon just went to every rally in Pennsylvania. He listened to the people. He listened to what their problems were. And he just kept tweeting about it, talking about it. He wanted to swing one state. And he not only converted it from a Democratic state, it landslided towards Trump the other side. Elon just focused on that one thing and everything else came. And now and you just go. So I think to cut it short, the last 6 months, maybe even 12, Elon doesn't give a fuck about Bitcoin, right? He's like, I'm trying to take over the government here. Yeah. And to take over the government, I need to win Pennsylvania. So every single thing I say needs to resonate with the Pennsylvanian voting public. And that's all he's done. And it's worked. Now he's in, who knows what his next objective is, right? But he's he comes across as a guy that's kind of shooting from the hip, a jack of all trades, maybe a master of none. But in reality, it's like, no. He spreads himself thin, but the majority, like 90% of his thinking power will be on one very small objective. And he hits it.
You know what he wants
time.
for the government? He wants to cut half the workforce. He did it at Twitter, didn't he?
Cut 80% of the workforce.
And nothing changed. It wasn't buggy, it still ran. It's just that
Twitter's never had more new features firing out of it ever. It's got one of the best AIs in the world with a engineering team that was cut 80%.
He's lost one thing.
The wokeism, the FBI, the FBI integration.
Not that, the advertisers, because obviously he went against the agenda and he lost the advertisers.
Yeah, which he's now
funny.
Suing people for, and and I can't wait. Like he's already promised, like when he took over Twitter, he did the Twitter files and he revealed everything that happened during COVID and lockdown, all the corruption and all the conspiracy theories we thought was happening, where everyone was being shadow banned for talking out. He proved it was all legit. The FBI had a direct integration. They could shadow ban or ban anybody without talking to anyone at Twitter. They were basically admin sat in the Pentagon doing whatever the fuck they wanted to do in Twitter. He's now promised he's going to do the Twitter files on the US government.
Wow.
The Epstein files are coming out. The Black Book's coming out. That's why, for the first time, when all these celebs said they were going to leave last time Trump got in, not one of them left. This time, they're leaving. Tom Hanks is leaving. Jimmy Kimmel is leaving. You got Harry and Meghan are leaving. Do you know why they're leaving?
Harry and Meghan actually leaving?
Well, it's rumored, and they're not leaving on principle. They're leaving because they're about to get fucking arrested.
Well, that'll be January, won't it? It'll be fucking hilarious because
they're leaving. They're getting out of the country before January because they know what's coming. The Epstein files are coming out.
It would be hilarious if that actually happened. I still just don't think he'll be allowed to do it.
I know. The problem is they know he's coming in, and Elon, he's like a dog with a bone, right? You could probably like walk him around in circles enough times. You ask for it, and you'd be like, but Elon, he's a very smart guy. He's got very smart people around him. When he comes for something, he's going to fucking find it, and they're going to have to just be smashing up data centers, burning books, fucking. They're going to have to be burying that evidence deep because Elon's coming in and he's going to have all admin access to all those government fucking vaults and all that information. And you know what's happening the second he sees it? He's going to fucking tweet it. You know
Yeah.
it's going to be entertaining.
So that leads us into the next bit. Does that mean 150k by the end of the year?
Wow. I think I put that story on a couple of days ago when it was just like we're just over the all-time high and 150k sounded exciting. Now it's like
now you're bored.
Of course, like we're nearly there now. Like I'm just waiting to turn around, and I'm still waiting to see what's going to happen on my block clock when we finally get over into six figures. Because at the moment it needs the currency. It's only set up for five figures at the moment, so I'm hoping that the software is going to be good enough to know what to do for six figures.
I think the pessimistic view is 100k, isn't it?
What by
the end of December, like December 31st?
Yeah, that's just crazy, isn't it? Like another 12k up, yeah, 100k by Christmas.
What's funny is
I'm expecting a pullback. Like we need a pullback. We've been going up for a bit long, so we'll probably have a pullback of 20-30% at some point.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to happen now.
Why not?
This year, I think it's only just starting to get going. I think the market's starting to move. So I feel
it's that thing before, and we were talking about this before, Mr. Allin. Before, like the smaller investor had a much bigger impact. The price was 3k, 5k, 7k a coin. It goes to 14. Somebody goes, "Oh, I've doubled my money," pulls it out. Enough people do that, moves the price. Now to move the price, the people selling and the amount selling has to be so much more. So
yeah,
does that mean the pullbacks are less? I don't know. But I
have a big pullback. You basically do need one of those big
2
or 3 billion dumped on the market in a week.
Yeah.
And it's almost like
who's dumping that?
Yeah, out of the people that have accumulated that much Bitcoin, who is selling right now?
No.
Because these are institutionally good investors as well, aren't they? Like back in retail land,
it was I've doubled my money. Everybody sells,
Yeah, and then in reality, what was happening is you double your money, but then Bitcoin would pull back 10%.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh no, I'm about to lose all my gains."
Yeah.
And some people would sell, then it would drop 20, then more people would sell, you drop 30, and then eventually all the weak hands are out, and then we just continue to build from there again. And it keeps shaking out. The lettuce hand people keep getting shaken out during the bull run. Really sad, really, that they get shaken out and just get left behind. But now we're expecting companies and nation states or billionaires to have lettuce hands, and these people have taken 4 years to buy. Are they going to get shaken out on the first 20% dip? It's unlikely. It's going to take them months probably to even get authorization to sell.
Is it even going to pull 20% though? Like, is the next dip just 10, right? And that's the shock, because I used to laugh when I first started doing it, because many times I would go to bed and the price would be going up, and I'd wake up the next morning, it would go down. It would feel like the price has gone up, and then half the world, the other, as you're following the sun round, go, "Oh, I'm going to take my profits," and it just went almost like in a cycle like that. There's too much money in it now to have that impact. Like, who's
the
selling
impact
that
becomes
volume?
lower and lower, and I think if the nation states are buying in, if the companies are buying in, you're just not going to have the same level of drawback. I think there's going to be a tougher bottom.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, what else did this guy talk about? He talked about fixing the deficit. I'm just like, we all know the deficit's a fucking myth. We all know it's made up of pretend money, which is owed to no one. So why are they going to pay something which doesn't matter, which is just a way of getting further money out of people by same as interest payments on it?
Yeah.
But that is the problem that I got with the whole US government narrative about building a strategic asset and stuff. It's like I get it, like probably short-term bullish, but long-term, it's clearly not going to be a thing, because the longer Bitcoin continues to go up for, the less value that their US dollar has.
Mm.
And the US are not going to be content with having, what would it be? A tenth of the amount of Bitcoin that Michael Saylor has. Like, come on, this is the US, the United States of America, the powerhouse of the globe. They have essentially less wealth than one guy. They're not going to be comfortable with that. So of course there's going to be a reaction, and they're going to fight to maintain the dominance of the US dollar. And like to do so, they're probably going to have to throw Bitcoin under the bus. But I'd imagine we're probably going to get a good 4 years where Trump can protect at least Americans from that fallout. And let's see how high we can go in those 4 years. And I think it's just a boom period for Bitcoiners. But I would imagine the regulation, the taxation, and the war on Bitcoin, it's still down the road. I don't think we get to skip it. We don't overtake the US dollar as the standard without a fight. They're not just going to let us do it. They're not just going to adopt Bitcoin and go, oh, fucking hell, you were right. In 2024, we're finally going to start DCAing into Bitcoin. Fuck off. That is not one of our outcomes. I just don't believe it.
It's going to go down that route of it will be illegal to self-custody Bitcoin.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's the best way for the US to accumulate a treasury.
Yeah.
Which
you
is
think they're going to buy it, or are they going to accumulate it?
They will steal the entire world's Bitcoin. For other countries, they will bomb them, and for their own state, they will go anything over 10,000 sats has to be custodied in one of our custodians. Here's a list. Essentially, the new form of banks.
Yeah, you can hold it on Coinbase.
Yeah, and if you don't, £1 million fine, 10 years in prison.
Yeah, and then people will shit their knickers and move their Bitcoin onto the exchanges, and then America all of a sudden have their strategic reserve.
Yeah, and they don't have to come knocking on doors. They can send letters through. Everyone's been KYC'd, so they know all the households that hold Bitcoin. They can send them letters, probably with the amounts that they even have on which exchanges, and they know which addresses they sent them to, and they'll go, we need by this date, these coins need to be sent to this address, which is your local custodian. If you don't, £1 million fine or 10 years in prison, or both. Do it.
What are you doing when you get that letter?
I'm leaving. Yeah, it's I'm praying as I see that coming, and you've got to leave. You've got to leave to a nation that is friendly. That's kind of prepper time where prepping inside your own country isn't going to work. I can almost guarantee I'm going to be made a criminal inside my home country. So at some point, I'm hoping El Salvador and other options pop up over the next 5 or 10 years where that is probably inevitably going to happen. And you cut and run. You have to leave everything behind probably because they're not going to let you sell it. They're going to be after you. So you cut and run, you pick up the family, you go. And hopefully what you leave behind materially isn't hugely material to you anyway. If Bitcoin is on a run like that and they're attacking you that heavy, a house and stuff, you should have more than enough in your sats to run with. But that is fun. I talked to my wife relatively regularly about that. About you do know we're going to have to run at some point because I'm not giving up my Bitcoin, and I'm going to be made a criminal. So I either go to prison for the rest of my life by refusing to give them my Bitcoin, and I hide it somewhere for you guys, and you're going to really struggle to spend it because they're going to be watching those wallets, or we go.
That's scary. I've not actually got that far down the road in my thinking.
That's the end game. It brings the mood down because we're all bullish and all that stuff. But
it does. Shit, why did I ask that?
This is that it is the reality, and we've talked about this a few times on here, and it is a bit of a doomsday. Like, oh, who knows? And there's still plenty of people, Sailor and stuff thinks the US dollar and Bitcoin can coexist fine. The US dollar will be for the money, Bitcoin will be for the kind of store value. Personally, I don't buy into that. I think the money and store value are one and the same thing. Gold took over everything. The agri beads, the rhinestones, they were all everything. So fiat is now everything. I think Bitcoin eventually becomes everything, and yeah, the fiat system has a lot of controls, and Bitcoiners will have it eventually, but the transitional period is going to be rocky.
How many people are going to give it up because of that letter? I wager a lot.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
A lot.
See, the difference between most Bitcoiners and most people is they know the history of money, Bitcoiners. So they know this has happened before. I think, your kind of response is you're a Bitcoiner, and when you met your wife, you're a Bitcoiner, so you kind of got she's been briefed into the world, hasn't she? Whereas when you're married to Normie, the conversation doesn't really go that. So I think it's one which is going to have to unfold a bit for me to actually truly understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everyone's like personal situation doesn't mean that it's necessarily simple to do that. So my children are with a different partner in a different marriage. The concept of just having to go would mean choosing.
Yeah, well, in my eyes, it's like the world's crumbling, right? This is like the volcano's freaking exploded. There's lava running down the hill. What do?
Yeah,
You fucking grab them. You grab them and you run. That's what I do. I grab them and I go.
yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. Okay, well, let's change that topic.
Yeah, on that positive note,
on that bombshell, Andrew Tate.
I've heard that name for a while.
Yeah, I love how everyone's popping up.
Yeah, aren't they still trying to arrest him for everything?
Yeah, everything for everything.
They still hate his guts. Yeah.
Yeah, they keep on trying to arrest him, then the case falls apart, and then they start again. That seems to be the 2-year cycle, which keeps going on a big loop at the moment.
Yeah, and if you ask the average person what Andrew Tate, you'd probably say he's in prison for sex trafficking. You go, the last I saw him, he was freaking screaming on Twitter and just tweeting out nonsense. So I don't think he is, mate. But they've successfully slandered him. I think he's much less relevant now. But I thought his take on Bitcoin here was relatively balanced. Obviously, he's still super bullish and stuff about as Andrew Tate as he can be, but it's just true, right? Because his tweet is, Bitcoin all-time high, doesn't even make headlines anymore. No emotional reaction, nobody cares. But this is a good thing. It's up only now. There's no shock and awe. Expectation is belief. We know what breaking high. And so this was actually a few days ago, yeah. So he's actually, the prophecy has come true, right? It's 4 days ago he tweeted this. We know it will break all-time high. We don't care. Higher, Valhalla. And it's 4 days later. We did break all-time high. We smashed through it. And still, nobody cares. Outside of Bitcoin, no emotional reaction. And this is all good. Because, I remember, and weirdly, again, I was talking, my wife has reminded me of what happened 4 years ago. We were at around that 69K in dollars, and she was talking to her mum on the phone, and she asked her how to buy some Bitcoin. I went, no, that means it's the top.
Yeah.
When an 80-year-old woman who knows nothing about investing asks her daughter how to buy some Bitcoin, she's the last in. Everybody else is in. Now we've got the grannies coming in. Fuck, it's over. And I went, it can't be though. It can't be. And it was. It actually was. That was actually the top. Now, nobody. All I'm getting some texts from people that I have already orange pilled, and they're like just saying thanks and stuff. But all the naysayers, none of them have even come to me yet. No. And going, everything's quiet. You switch on the news, nothing.
We were talking about this again before. we were saying there's no noise from those people.
I've had a bit of noise off my WhatsApp group. I think, as regular listeners will remember, the WhatsApp group who were trying to tell me that what they called NFTs were art. I told them they were fucking nonsense.
They were seeds, apparently, according to you.
Yeah, I said that's its best use case, and you wouldn't even have that. And I'm like, I'm not saying it's got any value. I'm telling you what its use is.
Even that, it hasn't been used for that, has it?
Yeah, but that's the point. I'm saying that's the best use case, and you still weren't having it
used for it. Yeah.
But yeah, they asked about Bitcoin, and it's like all-time high. And this was a couple of weeks ago. When it wasn't. Obviously, it's fired up since then.
Hmm.
And I was just like, yeah, you need to buy some, don't you?
Oh
And
no,
they're on about other shit coins.
wait for the dip now, isn't it? That's normally where they go, but it is nuts that like literally retail, then they're nowhere near this yet. And the mainstream, it's I think part of it is because there's so many freaking news stories at the moment, mainly probably Trump and just the fallout from all that. So they almost haven't got room for it in the headlines. But normally they might just finish the news thing with, oh yeah, Bitcoin's all-time high. And that straight away would then probably create a 10 or 20% pump. And all these people are lettuce hands. And that pump will get undone very quickly. But they haven't done that to us yet. All the people buying at the moment are the people that are just paying attention to the investment circles, have been waiting on the sidelines for a while and gone, fuck it, now's my time. I thought I was going to buy lower. It's too late. I'm aping in, and and they're making sensible decisions. Retail that are uneducated and don't really know what they're doing and will get shaken out at the first sign of trouble. I don't think they're even here. So all the gains that we're getting right now, they should be pretty solid. But man, who knows? Who knows how long they're going to wait? I'm guessing it's 100K. 100K will be the moment in dollars that will hit the news, and a load of normies will go, "What the hell? I thought Bitcoin was dead. How the hell has it hit 100K?"
Well, it can only die again, can't it?
Because the last time a lot of those people saw Bitcoin, it probably will be down at 13K.
Yeah.
That would have been the last time it was in the news, and
I
then the
wonder how
next
many
time they
times
see
it
it,
had,
3 years later, at 100K.
how many times does it have to die until you kind of go, it's not dying? Or do you
They
reckon it'll be a
just
tulip
believe the
or
last
or
thing
a
they're
bubble
told.
again?
Their favorite news presenter on their favorite news show tells them Bitcoin's dead again, and they believe it for the 20th time because they believe all the other shit that comes out of his mouth. So why wouldn't they believe that?
Yeah, it's just kind of going. Last time, every time it gets louder, doesn't it? Look at Bitcoin, then you get as just as loud. It's dead. It's dying. It's a bubble. It's a tulip, and it's just like, how many times can you keep on saying that? Like Jim Cramer or whatever his name is comes out and says, "Oh,
The Peter Schiff meltdown last night was fucking epic. He
Oh, wait,
tweeted
where was
about
it?
8 times in 30 minutes about it. It was like, oh, it was just brilliant. It was so good. It was just tweet, another tweet. And these aren't like 2-word tweets. These are like paragraphs about stuff. And he's clearly just sitting there, absolutely seething.
Oh,
It's so, so
I now know why I didn't know about
Oh,
what have you been tweeting him?"
No, I blocked him.
no.
He hasn't blocked
Oh,
me
why did you block him?
because he's just an annoying cunt, and he kept baiting me into engaging with his tweets, and I realized he was just being anti-Bitcoin
Yeah.
for engagement.
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah.
There's your little bang, 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 bang.
And it's a shame.
Yeah.
Missed allocation of resource in human history. Net losses would be staggering.
I mean, he's been saying that since what? $300 a coin? $400 a coin?
Someone's saying since $1 here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he literally has. Because
Yeah, he has literally been saying it. But the meltdown,
uh,
like he was clearly melting down last night. He was absolutely melting down. When Bitcoin flips gold, I think he might do it.
yeah. Even his son became a
He's
Bitcoiner,
Bitcoiner.
but it was about, I think it was last year, the year before, he basically sold all his Bitcoin and said he's out and said it's not what he thought it was.
He became a shitcoiner, didn't he? Or something like that.
I don't think he went into shitcoin land. I think he just went the whole space isn't what he thought it was, and left. And one of his last tweets was, "I've left my mum ended up buying some Bitcoin and I can't get her to sell it, so I feel a bit guilty leaving Bitcoin in her portfolio, but so be it. I'm out." And I think he almost timed the bottom to a T. He was one of the last sellers of last resort. Around that 20 to 13K dip. That
Oh,
was Peter Schiff's son, and then since then it's been up only, and So yeah, nice to see that following his father's footsteps.
Yeah, that's so funny. I'm just looking through his page now. There is nothing, not a word. He's talking about OpenAI and stuff like that, but he's not.
That's what he pivoted. Actually, that is what he pivoted to. Yeah, he dropped
Yeah.
Bitcoin and went, AI is the future. I'm investing in AI instead.
He hasn't even acknowledged. He hasn't even acknowledged it.
No,
Like,
he would be so salty right now, like ridiculously salty.
I'm
I
sure
mean,
plenty of people are messaging him, giving him shit.
Oh, definitely. The only play that could have worked out for him, obviously for Bitcoin, if you need self-custody and all that kind of stuff. But if he did do the AI play, the only thing, if he'd have been smart enough, would have been don't back the AI engines. It's a bit like with the gold rush, if in the AI rush, you don't start digging mines yourself because 90% of them or 99% of them fail and lose money. You first off, you back the people selling the shovels that dig the mines. So in this instance, in this evolution, it was Nvidia were creating the microchips that enabled AI to then work in all these companies. So Nvidia was the initial play for AI, and that is 50x.
he,
So if he'd gone into that, he's done great.
yeah,
And at
I've
this
just
point,
searched his page for the words, and like his last tweet on Bitcoin that he hasn't either deleted or whatever was the 10th of the 7th, 21. So he
Oh,
must have
Jesus.
deleted all of his tweets because I know he tweeted more after that. Um, but yeah, it's crazy. That's absolutely crazy if that's the case. Like,
no,
because
no,
I used to enjoy his exchanges with his dad. It was one of the reasons I kept that follow and didn't press the block button.
The closing price of Bitcoin on October the 7th, 2021 was $53,000.
Yeah. So on the 28th of August, he said he's converted in 20 on the 28th of August 21, he converted all his gold to Bitcoin. So I don't know what the price was then.
well,
Yeah,
on
so
the
he's in for a bit
18th
longer.
of July, 2023,
No, there you go.
he
So
converted it
July the
back.
18th.
Yeah. I think he's deleted that tweet though.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me because it has not aged well. I'd imagine there's loads of people commenting on it, retweeting it, going,
Yeah.
"This aged well,
That's
Spencer."
not on his page anymore. He's deleted that. That's a screenshot.
Yeah, its price will probably fall to zero over the next couple of years, and this isn't 2023, dude. It's only just over a year later, and the price has tripled since you said that.
So the price was $29,000.
When he bought in.
No, on this date when he got out.
Yeah, and and like I said on his AI thesis, if he backed Nvidia, but even then, by this point, this time last year, a lot of the Nvidia gains would have already been gone. But it would have still been a good time to go into Nvidia at this point. But I bet he's probably tried to be too smart and gone, oh, let's back some startups. Let's try and get some money into OpenAI and da da da. And it's like, well, good luck. Like the gains aren't going to be there for quite a while. Literally, the only stock that's done well with AI has been Nvidia. But he's fundamentally wrong. No major impact on the world, dude. It's probably just around that time that Trump started mentioning it as part of his campaign, and it all just went crazy.
Yeah, it's funny with open AI. Everyone said it was going to remove jobs and all sorts. I'm pretty sure it's just what we thought Ask Jeeves was going to be in 1999.
At the moment, yeah, it's just a very good ass Chief.
This is when someone says it doesn't seem to be doing what everyone thought it was going to be. I'm like, that's because it is just a language. What do they call a language processing model? It's really smart on indexing web pages. It's really fucking cool. Don't get me wrong, but it is basically Ask Jeeves 99, what we thought we were getting, which we did not get then.
Yeah. I think it's hard to know, I think, what the impact will be. I think it's the quote I always use is from Bill Gates, where I think it's playing out perfectly again, where we overestimate what can be done in 1 year and we underestimate what can be done in 10.
Yeah,
And that
it's
was
just that everyone thought it was going to be within a year, is my point.
Exactly.
We're at Ask Jeeves stage. In 10 years, 20 years, I'm not going to predict that because things can change too much.
that's why we underestimate it, yeah. And because the thing is, like, if we're not using phones anymore and laptops, and it's all freaking in our faces, and like, who knows? But yeah, obviously, all the potential for, do we write code anymore? Do we have lawyers anymore? You know, or as many? Do we have call centers anymore? Is everything just AI, just smoothing all that out? Like, the likelihood is probably yeah, but it's going to take a decade for that to be, for AI to be good enough and to transition into being able to do all that. Just as, you know, everyone predicted all the various things with the internet, and but they thought it was all going to happen in the year 2001. And in reality, it took until about 2015 for the majority of services to properly be mainstream on the internet. And then the biggest industry by far that popped out of the internet that no one foresaw was social media. That was the brand new thing that was not possible before the internet, and now it is, and it's freaking the biggest thing by a million miles. And there'll be the equivalent thing for AI. It will take over everything that people predict, but it will take longer than we think. And then it will also do something brand new that no one can even comprehend what that is right now.
Yeah.
Well, oh. So yes, one of the podcasts actually that I used to listen to, but I don't really do it that much anymore. I know Sir Neville is a massive fan of this pod, which is the Diary of a CEO. So I saw this pop up on my feed, the Diary of the CEO, in Bitcoin Twitter. I was like, oh, what, have we finally got a Bitcoiner on there? Have we fuck? We got Raoul fucking Paul on there, and he's chatting away to Stephen Bartlett, supposedly under the guise of Bitcoin, but he constantly pivots the conversation to crypto. And, you know, Bitcoin is a store of value, but it's not money. Blockchain is money, and blockchain is so much more. It really just fucks me off that rent seekers like this continue to like push the crypto narrative, because obviously that is and it actually annoys me that people like Stephen Bartlett, which I consider a reasonably intelligent guy, to go, if you're going to get a Bitcoiner on, because clearly he's a smart guy, he's riding the wave, he probably doesn't believe in Bitcoin himself, but he's seen probably Bitcoin doing well. He probably has an exposure to it to a certain degree for part of his diversified portfolio. So he's gone, you know what, I'll have a Bitcoiner on, let's have a Bitcoin episode. And he's put this guy, he's not a Bitcoiner, a fucking shitcoiner, and he's just going to be shilling his paid group, and it's just annoying that.
Did you not go, ooh, blockchain friend? Yeah, Raoul Paul. I think the problem with the Diary of CEO is because he goes on so many topics, it's spread thin. So literally, he's going, who's a crypto person, who's a name? You know, so
Yeah.
if he probably asked, he would have got Michael Saylor, because Michael Saylor would have he seems to be happy, even if he is a cook. And the latest rounds of rumors are that Saylor's going to be on Rogan.
Hmm.
I don't know how great that's going to be after his recent revelations are.
Yeah, I think he's learned to calm that one down. Like, yeah. I'd much rather like a Saifedean on there, or Jack Mallers personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Saifedean's quite a hard listen. He's just so dry, whereas Jack Mallers quite encourageable, isn't he?
Jack
I
Mallers
think
is probably the best spoken, but probably the least credible because he's so young. Saifedean kind of comes from, you know, Venezuela, so it's no
Venezuela, Lebanon.
Lebanon, yeah. So and obviously that's a nation that has suffered from all this. So he talks from experience. Obviously has the economics kind of background, and then Saylor obviously comes with a lot of credibility, being CEO of a massive company. But yeah, Saylor probably is the best spoken, but he wouldn't suit Rogan. Rogan actually likes conversation. Saylor just goes on 30 to 40 minute montages, and Rogan wouldn't allow that.
It's like just be monologuing for 30 minutes, wouldn't he?
And Rogan would just be getting pissed off of him, going, "Shut up for a minute, dude! Like I want to interject and start talking."
Yeah.
Have you seen a bear
Saifedean,
fighting a wolf? Fucking hell! Look at that.
Saifedean, you'd have to work out to balance him because he's so dry.
we can be dry, but I think if you got him a bit pissed and like because he can be freaking lively as fuck. Like his tweets are spicy, and some of his analogies are spicy, and just get him into a conversation, get him a few whiskeys down him, and get him just going. Look, this is Rogan. Just take the piss, be outrageous, but then at times drop in your economics and PhD background just to really make sure it's like, no, you fucking know what you're talking about. And then go stupid again and just start calling Hillary Clinton a paedophile. And like, people will love it. Because his tweets are like some of the spiciest tweets I freaking see.
Oh,
I get you. Like on podcasts, it's
who's that fat moron who's wearing several masks on a plane who used to be at Fronton's book?
Oh yeah.
Tabib or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he used to be mates with him, and it literally just
Fat
flipped.
moron.
Yeah, it just flipped, and then Saifedean just fucking tore him a new one on Twitter, and like he just didn't know what to say. The fat man, with his several masks on a plane, and everyone just tore into him continuously. And I think I got blocked up by him, so that's probably why I haven't seen him for a while.
I haven't heard anything of him. He went massively negative on Bitcoin, didn't he, a while back?
Yeah, demanded he be removed from the foreword of the Bitcoin Standard.
Yeah.
Kind of admitting to the clown that he is that he got paid, obviously, to write the foreword of that. Saifedean originally looked up to him for some of his previous writings, and he admitted he didn't read the book before writing the foreword for it. So if I'd have read it, I would never have agreed to this. It's like, yeah, you would, because it had a fucking paycheck on it, and you do anything for a paycheck. So stop pretending you got standards. But yeah, should we finish off just with the funny, like the 4Bs has been co-opted or accidentally we named ourselves after the 4Bs.
Yeah, we need to think about that.
Which technically I think it already existed, but
yeah,
there's a 4B movement. I saw this going, oh my God, look, we've finally gone viral. There's a load of women on the internet that can't wait to follow the 4Bs. What's going on? I was like, what are the 4Bs? This is Mr. All In, Dr. Evil, Mrs. No Show, and Sir Never Look, right? No marriage, no kids, no dating, no sex. What? Oh, that's a different 4Bs. Okay. So this is obviously all in protest to Trump coming in. Apparently, there's a load of a whole movement of women that aren't going to basically interact or date men whatsoever in protest for Trump getting in, and they're calling it the 4Bs movement. So, our diversity and equity and inclusion stat should be going through the roof with our branding on this pod.
We're gonna get so many people accidentally watching this, and they're gonna. Oh, their first one is like, what was the one we started about? Was it 6 or 7 weeks ago where you went on some rant about fucking pedophiles?
We normally start it with you and like being our DEI representative and
yeah, I know that still haunts me from my client meeting and sweating trying to change my name in the bottom corner because my Zoom auto logged into this one and not my work one.
But they might even think because we start with like some type of diversity message, because normally you're actually not here, Mrs. No Show, but we're all-time highs. So surprise, surprise, he come out of hovel. But imagine if they actually watch our intro and actually think that our little diversity throw to like is actually legit, and they continue to listen and then just go, this is not freaking a DEI podcast. Like, what the fuck is this?
He's not a real officer. Yeah, that's
out of all the things like I think like it's like Elon says that the most likely outcome is usually the most entertaining. It's like what's the odds that someone else uses the 4Bs for something you couldn't have picked?
Yeah, you
more
have picked it
perfect.
It lines
to what we stand for.
I mean,
I'm tempted to reply saying there's a podcast about this that I run on the internet. You should take a look. Right behind you, woman.
I mean, the worrying thing is that 21.1 million people have viewed this. 470,000 have liked it.
I mean,
I
that
think-
like to view ratio is actually quite low.
And then 75,000 people have reposted it. 28,000 people have bookmarked it. There's 21,000 comments. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of ripping the piss in this.
You can no longer see who's liked and bookmarked. I'd love to go through that list.
But you kind of going, this is, people are leading their life with their feelings rather than cold, hard facts. Someone's voted for Trump, and it's like, but why should they have voted for Kamala?
Yeah.
Or Kamala? And I kind of think it's a little bit insulting, but I also kind of go, is this how the human species dies off because everyone's so fucking stupid and we're watering the crops with Gatorade?
This is natural selection, just in modern form. That's all this is.
I think we've hit the peak population. I think we are dwindling back down because we've got morons like this.
Yeah.
If anything, this is cleansing. This isn't improving the gene pool, right?
Yeah,
the people that believe this and genuinely aren't going to have children because Trump got into office.
The funny thing is, and I don't, being the diversion and inclusion specialist on this panel, I have to be very careful what I say. But the ratio of women replying saying, "You go do you, I'm still going to fuck men," and the women going, "Oh yeah, power to us." I mean, I know which ones I'm swiping right on because there is a correlation.
There's a direct. It's almost like they're directly correlated to the likelihood that they were going to get sex anyway.
Yeah.
Like the ones very low down on that probability chart seem to be directly correlated to approving I am now opting out of dating men. You're like,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure honestly, you weren't dating too many men in the first place.
Yeah, I was going to say, if these women had like some form of body swap, like using some machine which actually made them into a man, they'd just be like a neat, wouldn't they? Could be one of those neck beard people behind a computer.
Yeah.
Click
into almost every woman that has replied back saying thanks, but I'll take marriage, childbirth, dating, and sex. And you're probably looking at them going, yeah, I would. And then click into every single one that replies going, yeah, we need to stand up and we need to do more about this. And you think it's hard pass anyway, right? So you go do you. Listen to the podcast. I'm going to promote it on the link for these movement.
Yeah, just reply to it and say, "Oh, we've got a very topical podcast on this." Zoom forward. What is it, like 40 minutes to hear our discussion about the 4Bs movement?
Yeah,
and you'll go, "I'll do you, wouldn't do you."
I'm actually trying to find. I've only seen one reply where they were like, "Yeah," and then most of them are actually women going, "No, I'm not doing that. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard." So
well, here we go. I'm a man and I completely agree with this.
There we go.
And it's just like, she's not shagging you.
Yeah, he's playing 4D chess there. He knows what he's doing. That's so funny.
We can't let these men have the last laugh. We need to bite back.
This one's brilliant. Finally, a sane comment from a liberal to take your mental illness out of the gene pool. Terms are acceptable.
Exactly. That was almost the comment of like this actually might be the genius of stopping.
Yeah.
That idiocracy happening where we water the crops of Gatorade because these morons were the ones that were going to do it. And if they're genuinely not going to breed, you're like, brilliant. That's what we needed you to stop breeding because you were breeding faster than the productive members of society. So eventually you were going to outnumber us in one of your morons.
I wanted to show that reply, but it's not going to work. My camera's too blurry. Damn it.
Just
can't.
What are you trying to share?
I'll pop it in the group and see if you can pop it up because it's quite funny. I can't get it on here because I'm not as technologically advanced as you. So
click share, mate.
It's like having a chimpanzee in front of a computer slamming the keyboard.
I do. Do you know what? I do a really good chimpanzee noise. It's in the Signal group. I don't know if you can get it up.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah,
I mean, it's accurate as fuck.
I love how Piers Morgan's on there.
Piers Morgan catching strays.
Who's
And well, that one's wrong as well. Michelle Obama shouldn't be there.
what
That's
do you
the
mean,
dude.
Mike? Big Mike.
I know Piers Morgan is the joke dude, but they put Michelle there by accident because that's an actual dude. But it is ironic, isn't it? You see the women commenting on like the mainstream media and on the panel shows. Like the conservative women, like these tend to be relatively attractive or at least not repulsive. And if you get one of these, Extension Rebellion people on, or just any of these Labour voters, socialist people, the feminists, they are nearly all completely gross.
I find this in so many different parts of our society, though. So I was on the train on the way back from London the other day, and there had been some kind of medical convention on. They're in the process of banning and massively restricting vapes, and they're looking at banning smoking in any outdoor public place whatsoever. Certainly outside hospitals and a few other things. And there were two people who were doctors, or I'm going to put doctor as they had doctor in their title, talking about this convention, talking about the benefits of banning smoking and the impact and all that kind of stuff to the NHS. I reckon their like average weight between the two of them was about 22 stone. And I'm sitting there going, you're moaning about the impact of the health of like smoking on society, whilst eating a McDonald's and a Burger King on the train on the way home, being what would be classed as morbidly obese and apparently being a doctor. Like if you can't see the irony and the hypocrisy in that, then I give up.
It's nice.
No.
All right, boys. What's our prediction? Let's finish off. Quick price prediction for Christmas 2020.
What do I want for Christmas?
Yeah. What are we doing? When you sat around, actually, let's do Christmas, actually, 25th of December. We sat around Christmas Day. We have all the family going to be looking at us going,
I think it's just north of £100,000. So I'm going to go let's go for 110.
So you're doing pounds, not dollars.
Yeah, my brain just doesn't work with dollars.
So we're at 70 at the moment. So that's 30K. Yeah, I'd probably say similar. I was going to say 125 in dollars. So that's probably about 100.
Yeah, I'm in and around there as well. I was going to say around the 100K in pounds, 130, 140 in dollars. Yeah. And let's go for 101K. Let's brief.
The Neverlook said 250.
For Christmas.
Pounds. Oh, okay.
I was just going to stick a nonsense evaluation for him so we could hold him to it.
Yeah, let's see 100K by Christmas.
Yeah.
It might weirdly, it might actually be a bad thing. It might be better if we have actually a bit of a pullback for Christmas. All those conversations fall on deaf ears. We don't get the salad hands in, and then ride out into the new year with just the good.
You say salad hands?
Yeah, instead of diamond hands.
I thought we used paper hands.
Yeah, I saw someone put in, it was on Portnoy, they were calling him lettuce hands for ages and just commenting lettuces underneath his tweets for ages when he sold his Bitcoin at like 5K and then bought back at 50.
Elite image.
But anyway, we haven't got Neverlook to get us out of here, so let's just end it abruptly and just fucking disappear.